Yeah, I'm still here at the rail yard. They finally started loading me though. Got the truck running, keep the AC going, starting to get a little warm out, so just sitting here, not driving, not doing anything. Still gotta stay on my truck, stay out of their way so they don't run me over. Anyway, I got time to do one more here, I think. It takes about 20 minutes to load the truck, so you see this thing all the time on Facebook and everywhere else, and you hear people say it. You'll be dead by the time you're 72. That comes from a study that says men die on average about 7 years after they retire. And if you're figuring the average age of men retiring is 65, which it is, that makes it 72. Simple math, right? So, sorry, the forklift driver had to ask me a question there. So, back to what I was saying, the average age of men dying is 72. But that's a terribly skewed figure. That is lifespan. That means from birth to death. If you've made it to 65 and retire, you're expected to live well in your 80s. If you are a financial mutant like me, where you're constantly thinking about your retirement, thinking about this and that, or you have your dispersal strategy figured out, you know about RMDs, required minimum distributions, which will happen, I think it's either 73 or 75. I'm fumbling the number now. I think it actually might be 75 now. It seems like they moved it up. Or moved it back. The government thinks that I'm going to live to be 99. Now, how they come up with that is they schedule your RMDs, your required minimum distributions, from start date to end date, and they're somewhat sort of they have a formula for figuring it. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. It's very similar to like the 4% rule. You end up with about 4% each year until it's gone, because they don't want you passing on retirement money. This is why I preach the Roth. Once you do Roth money that's tax-free, you can pass it on. That can be inherited, give it to your kids. You can spend as much as you want and never tax on it. Whereas taxable accounts, like a standard 401k or a standard IRA, or traditional IRA or traditional 401k, you're taxed on. And you can pass them on, but they discourage you from doing that. That's why they have required minimum distributions. Anyway, the government says or thinks I'm going to live to be 99 as far as the RMDs are structured. But what is the point of this then? The point of this is the idea behind the meme, or idea behind the saying that men are going to die 7 years after they retire, so you might as well enjoy life now. Stop saving for the future. Blow all that money now. Buy the Harley. Buy the boat. You see the little things all the time where they take Dave Ramsey and they'll put it like he's saying, you can't ride, I saw one this morning, you can't ride a 401k, buy the bike. Saw one yesterday that said, the average, or it says that same thing. You're only going to live to 72. Buy the boat. You know, obviously he doesn't say this stuff. If you've ever listened to him, you know he's just the opposite of that. The YOLO idea, you only live once, it is true. But one of the biggest fears, actually, I believe it's the number one fear of retirees, and it is of me too. I can personally attest to it. The number one fear I have as a soon-to-be retiree is that I will outlive my money. Now, I don't worry about it now, but it's one of my major concerns. More so than death, the number one thing is running out of money before you're dead. Because you don't want to, be a ward of the state, or you don't want to be, don't want to have to burden your children, don't want to have to, be that. And I'm not throwing shade on anybody that is. It's unfortunate that it happens. But that's a fear. That's real. So I'm just going to talk about it. But, so the YOLO idea comes from only the good die young, he was too young young to die that way, or didn't live long enough to enjoy their retirement. You know, a friend of mine, you know, this is what a friend of mine died young, and he'd worked all his life and had nothing, you know, didn't have any life, and so he saved all his money and then died, didn't get spent anyway. So you take this one case and you throw that like a wet blanket over everybody. It just doesn't work for me. Anyway, not to get too off in the weeds on this thing, but what you never hear anyone say is, you only live, the average life of a man is 72. You're going to be dead by the time, you're going to be dead 7 years after you retire, unless you change. I was talking to two friends recently, both very, very well set up. I mean, way beyond what I hope to achieve. And we're talking multiple millions. I mean, very, very, very set. And are both going to retire at 60. 59 and a half, actually. They're both retiring at 59 and a half, just as soon as they can. And I asked the one that was better off of the two. I said, so what's your plan? He goes, what do you mean? I said, what's your plan, you know, after retirement? He goes, nothing. And I said, that's not a plan. I said, that's nothing. I mean, you're telling me nothing. He goes, no, I plan to do nothing. I said, you mean like sit around the house all day? He goes, whatever I want to do. I said, okay, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. Maybe sit around the house. I said, you worked. The guy has two jobs. He has a regular job, and then he has a side job. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not going to give away the friend in case he ever sees this. But he's hustling his ass off. His wife has a very good job. She's works for the state, I want to say, and high six-figure job. I shouldn't say high six-figure, well into six-figure job. He makes six figures, plus his side hustle makes like 60 grand a year, he said. They're both busting it, and they're going to retire soon, retire young, 59 and a half. I say young. And then do nothing. Both have put on a lot of weight in the past few years. Both aren't crazed of health, and they will be that statistic. They'll be dead within 7 years they retire, because nowhere on their list is we're going to change our habits, we're going to stop eating the way we do, we're going to stop leading such a sedentary lifestyle. Right now they got work keeping them alive, even though they're terrible on themselves. The work's keeping them alive. The other guy, I said, what are you going to do? He goes, I'm going to sit on a beach drinking margaritas, staring at senoritas. I said, well, that's a great plan. I said, but that's going to get awful boring after about the second day, isn't it? Well, then I'll do something else. I was like, what about an activity? Why would I want to do that? Work's an activity. If I wanted to stay in an activity, I'd just keep on working. I said, okay, well, what's something you enjoy doing? Well, I enjoy sitting on a beach, drinking margaritas and staring at girls. Okay. Point taken. But that's going to land you in that same statistic. Sitting on a beach. Right now, this guy works 60 hours a week. He has something to do, something to occupy his time. And he's not going to have that very soon. He's going to have these millions of dollars, and he's going to be staring at poor health. He's already in poor health. He's gained quite a bit of weight already. And what's going to happen as soon as he retires is he's going to balloon up, and he's going to do what a lot of men do. My grandpa pointed this out to me. My grandpa is 90, just turned 90, and is in excellent shape. He retired, I think, at 55. Retired very early, and has spent the last 35 years staying busy. He still cuts wood. He still goes out, messes with his yard. Last time we were down there, he had a ladder up 30 feet in the air and he was cleaning his gutters. And we've had friends and family say, man, you got to stop doing that. You got to stop here for doing that, Joe. I'm like, no, this is what's keeping him young. He gets that excitement, of doing something crazy, doing something potentially deadly. That's up to him. It's his life. I'm not going to tell him how to live his life. He earned this. If he wanted somebody else to do it, he'd have paid somebody. He can afford to do that. He wanted to do it himself for a reason. So I don't get in the way of that. But he pointed out to me one time, we went and visited a friend of his. He was actually headed to a fishing hole, but this friend lived on this road. And his friend's about 15 years younger than him. At the time, my grandpa was about 80. So this guy would have been 65. And he was a manager and a roadie manager for a rock band for a long, long time. He just spent his life on the road. And we stopped and talked to him. When we left, my grandpa said, "You see his belly?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "See how his belly button was just sticking straight out like a cork about ready to pop?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Pretty tight." He goes, "He'll be dead within a year." I was like, "What?" He goes, "He retired at 60. It's been 5 years. When he came off the road, he was skinny as a whip. In 5 years, he's grown a belly. It looks like he's pregnant with twins." He goes, "I've watched it time and time again. My friends retire. They do nothing. They think that retirement is just sitting around, collecting a check, and just doing absolutely nothing. And they look just like that." And no joke, came back the next year, and we went down to a fish tank. Oh, by the way, he died 2 months after we talked to him. And I was just floored. I was like, wow, that's when I started hearing all these things about, men. I started looking into it. Men live 7 years after retirement. I'm like, holy crap, I better do something. And I did. At that time, I was 355 pounds. As of this morning, I'm 217. I'll go into what I did on another video. That's a whole other video. But the point is, I'm active. I'm currently building a house, building a barn dominium. One of my first videos on here is another house that I built, a cabin that I built to live in while I'm building the barn dominium. The barn dominium is big. Matter of fact, we just loaded up another load of wood for the porch roofs Saturday, and I'm still sore from it. But loaded up 5,000 pounds of lumber. We have 2 porch roofs to put on. And when I say porch, one of them is 46 feet long, and one of them's, one of them's 60-something feet long, and one's 50 feet long. So big porches. This ain't no small town front porch. I mean, these are big porches. And so tons of wood, literally tons. Did all myself, didn't have any help. My wife wasn't feeling that good, so I told her to stay in truck and take care of yourself. 53 years old. Now, that's not old. I don't know too many 53-year-olds that can do that. Had to talk to the forklift driver again. But the long and short of it is, I heard that message. I understand the assignment. I'm not going to be dead unless it's by an accident, something dumb, after I retire. I want to make sure I'm in good health. So instead of retweeting or sharing the meme that you'll be dead within 7 years after you retire, share something else. Share how to get in better health. Share your own story if you got good health. Give one some inspiration. Don't tell them you'll be dead within 7 years. It doesn't do any good to do all this work and save all this money for retirement that you want to enjoy and then die. So start today.